Now I'm unmuted. Can you, yeah, you hear me? I think so.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, please go ahead.
Wonderful. Really excited to be here and speaking with you. I've never had the opportunity to be in India, and now I can be there digitally. It's an exciting opportunity that we have right here, all of us as fans of entertainment, fans of film, and media as a whole, to break into this industry no matter what your connections are. There's just it's the playing field has been leveled a bit, and even more so with this pandemic. So kind of getting into things, I was asked to talk about a little bit of the traditional education tracks within specifically motion picture and whatnot here in the US, but I think those have a little bit gone by the wayside. I'll speak to those a bit first. The traditional, the top schools, you have your Tisch of NYU, Northwestern, New York Film Academy, USC, UCLA, and of course, like I said, USC. Those are great opportunities. Those universities teach you unmatched trade and skill. And on top of that, it gives you, the biggest thing is the network and the relationships you can gain from those opportunities. Those are invaluable. But the skills, I argue, you can learn more by just doing and getting on set. I've learned more from being on set than I did in university. And that's not to say that there's nothing wrong within the university system or anything like that, but there's certain things they do not teach you. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. And that is the business side. Getting into what I learned on set and what I learned by failing quickly in some of my original productions or business ventures was more valuable to me than anything. And it helped me to launch me into larger success. So when I say fail quickly, I want you to fail quickly and fail cheaply. That is, whatever your passion or niche within this industry is, go after it, whether it's producing, whether it's writing, directing, make whatever it is you want to make, do it as cheaply as possible. And if it works, wonderful. And then it'll get you to the next step. If it fails, you did so cheaply, you did it quickly, and you learned from it and got you to that next stage. When I say there's an opportunity here that's different than others, it always reminds me of the actor Kurt Russell in a Disney movie called Miracle. And he says, "What we have here is an opportunity, boys." Taking out the boys and making this as inclusive as possible, but we have an opportunity here as a level playing field. The democratization of technology is unmatched right now. You can have all the tools of the trade at your fingertips for pennies, for $10-15 a month. Whether it's Adobe Premiere Pro, After Effects, DaVinci Resolve, all of these tools that you need to make the film are there, and they're there at a very expensive or inexpensive cost. And sitting here with extra time in this pandemic, I'm in my backyard here in Chicago, Illinois, in the US, with my kids and my dogs running around everywhere. But it is 8 a.m. here, and there's not much place we can go. We cannot travel, obviously, with the pandemic, so we have time. So if you don't take this time and opportunity you have to learn a new skill or refine the skills you're looking at currently, it's not that you don't have time, it's that you do not have dedication or discipline. So whatever that is that sparks you, whatever that is that that wakes you up in the morning or keeps you up at night, that you want to learn, refine, go after that. Start the process, set realistic and self-regulated rules for yourself, and just go. And if you fail, again, fail quickly, fail cheaply. Like I said, the democratization of the technology, I mean, most recently, I think a great example is Damien Chazelle did this vertical, call it a sizzle or trailer, on an iPhone 11, and he did it vertical to show the the filmmaking capabilities of a vertical video. And quite honestly, if you weren't told it was on an iPhone 11, would you have known? I highly doubt it, because I wouldn't have. And that's where I say there are no excuses right now for people to not create. All of the tools are there, and they are there at a very, very easy access point. So whatever you have within that niche, and I said, find your niche within this media industry and go after that and specialize in that. Hey, you guys. No, sorry about that. My kids and my dog are here. I want to give you an idea of how I came to this understanding. I'm going to move into the office. I'm sorry. The negative aspects of a pandemic in the US is that we have 4 and 5 kids come into the yard whenever they feel like it, no matter if I'm on a international media summit or not. All right, let's try this again. All right, so get into the background. I came into the industry through the business side first. I learned through marketing and distribution more so than I learned through writing and producing. I came to that later, but it was through learning distribution, learning marketing, learning the ways that a film is monetized. To me, was more important. It was lacking, and it was something that when I was in school, I was never taught. Of course, I was taught how to write. I was taught how to shoot. I was taught the technology at the time. I was taught, how to organize a crew. I was taught all of those things. But what I was not taught is once the film was completed, what would I do? And there's a lot of information out there in regards to, hey, submit it to a festival. You'll get into a festival. There'll be a great bidding war for your film, and you'll live happily ever after. The reality is, the chances of that happening, of you striking gold or having lightning in a bottle, is pretty rare. And that should not be your plan. If it happens, God love you. That's amazing. And more power to you, but that should not be your plan. Your plan should be a refined, very focused marketing and distribution strategy to get your investors, whomever they be, no matter if it's a project that costs you $100 US or $1 million US. There's certainly no variable in which you can't cover in that budget within your marketing and distribution strategy. And if you learn these tools, no matter what your trade is right now or the niche that you are going after, whether it's post-production, writing, directing, maybe you are wanting to be a marketing executive within the media space. Whatever that is, add this knowledge to your experience and knowledge base. Understand what the distributions are, what the different release strategies are, the different windows that affect your budgets and the contracts you'll have to sign with your actors and talent. You need to understand that and how it affects your rates, the contracts with the different guilds and unions, and the different splits in which the distributors will require of you. And then marketing. Understand marketing. It's crucial. Even a bad movie can find success with good marketing. And in the US here, I think there's some tongue-in-cheek conversations in regards to horror genre, because that genre can typically find success for the very minimal production budget with a nice poster and a good marketing plan. And even if the movie is not very good. Now, if it is good, you can not only return the money to your investors, hopefully make some money yourself, but you can spark a whole new genre, in which Blair Witch Project did when it created the marketing ethos of found footage. Of course, it was relaunched then with Paranormal Activity and Blumhouse years later. But that whole idea of this horror genre within a found footage was all created months, maybe even years after the film was finished, and it came out of the marketing department. And there's a lot to be said about the success of a film that's determined by that marketing. And here in the U.S., there's a lot of directors that say, hey, I need A-list stars. I need to have that Tom Hanks or Meg Ryan. I had one film that certainly Tom Hanks was only in the movie for 30 seconds, and having him on the poster made the film worth a couple $100,000 more than it was. But that goes into marketing. And if you understand how marketing and distribution, which is, in sense, is the monetization of your product, affects all of the things that are upstream that have already happened. If you understand that before you say action or before you write the first line on your script, you will have a leg up on, I would say, 70%, maybe even 80 or 90% of the students or new filmmakers coming into this industry. It is paramount that you understand the business behind the art, because without it, there is no Hollywood, there is no Bollywood, there is nothing. If there's not a profitable business venture behind this, you wouldn't have the theaters, you wouldn't have all of this. So you need to understand how your art, your creations can be monetized. Understand that to a core, and learn to love the process. It may get a little bogged down, boring, and you're like, I just want to be on set, I just want to hear action. That is awesome, that is sexy, it's great, it's so exhilarating and energetic to hear and to be on set. But the process along the way is so important to have any type of success after the director says wrap. So with that, I think my 15 minutes are up. You got 2 location changes here for my little venture here, and I appreciate you guys bearing with me as I stay at home here with my family during this pandemic, and could not isolate myself, I guess, for the speech. But I appreciate your guys' time. I'm certainly available for any questions if there are.
Yes.
And
Yes, Andy, a couple of quick questions to you, Andy. Hollywood films have been the topmost films which is watched throughout the world. So how do you think Hollywood has kept up for such a long time, being a top in the entire world?
That's a really good question. Marketing. I mean, the marketing engine, it is, it makes everything seem so important that if you didn't go see this latest, film, you're missing out. And Hollywood is not, that term, and I live in Chicago, which is, in the middle of the country compared to, where LA is. And I typically produce out of Chicago. There's economic reasons why. But the term Hollywood, is not a US centric term, certainly based here, but the diversity in those films and across the nation, certainly Australia has had a huge, profound effect. Europe and India has had a huge influence on a lot of the projects that have found worldwide success. But the heart of it's marketing, and it's getting the word out. Getting whether it's your social media or traditional media, getting your message and the film's message, and it's been ingrained. I mean, look, we've been I think since the silent films days back, 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, you have over 100 years of history ingrained within that small region. And they know how to market, and they know how to get their message out so that the public feels they need to go see the next thing, and they need to, or they're going to miss out. And that FOMO, that fear of missing out, I think drives a lot of that. Unfortunately, I think it also drives a lot of retreads. That is, reboots, remakes, and rather than taking risks on new projects or new ventures or new storylines, that the typical, quote unquote, Hollywood studio system is fairly focused on only tentpole or pre-sold audiences, meaning they already know the intellectual property. They already know that there is, 10 million followers because this book was a New York Times bestseller. So therefore, we think we can convert a lot of those followers into fans and movie purchasers via VOD, or, if theaters open up eventually. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Andy. Just another question to you, Andy. What do you think will be the role of OTT platforms and other platforms in the future, post COVID-19?
It'll be the backbone. I talked about failing quickly and failing cheaply. My business partner and I launched a VOD OTT platform way back when Netflix was still sending you a DVD, and we didn't know what we were doing. We just knew we had a good idea, and we didn't have the capital to scale. And we ended up, I think we distributed about 100 films on our digital platform, and have since shuttered it to remake it on a blockchain based system, and kind of gear it towards the future. And I think more and more brands, studios, and you look at toy makers that are now studios. So a studio is a brand. And I say brands are going to go direct to their consumers, and that's OTT, over the top. You're going over the top of all of the middlemen that have gummed up the system, made it more expensive, made it harder to go see a film. That is going to go by the wayside. I think it has been slowly tracking that way for about 10 years. There's been a lot of failure along the way. I've seen $150 million spent on platforms that have garnered zero attention in the space. I've seen, platforms like ours that we spent very, very little, acquired some, 100 films. Some of them were, award winners, festival award winners, as well as, Emmy and Academy nominees. And we made a modicum of success. But I think what will happen is, now that this pandemic has shot the system full of steroids of, hey, we got to figure out a new route, because we don't even know if theaters, certainly in America, we're starting to hit another wave. And I don't know what the situation is in India right now, but theaters are reclosing. We have drive-ins right now, and that's about it, which is really, really fun because it's a kind of a throwback. But these direct-to-consumer, call it OTT, call it whatever you want, is going to be the new future. What I'd love to see, and we're working on a few items, is to have a blockchain-based infrastructure. And that is where all of the different profit participants within a film can be paid instantly. And I talked about those splits very quickly within the distribution, and that's what I was talking about, the splits. So 30% goes to the distributor, 20% goes to the exhibitor, 50% goes back to the producers. And within that producer split, you have, your investors that get paid off first. Then you go back to, maybe you got a great actor, an A-list actor, and you needed to give them, back end points, so to speak. In a traditional setting, that takes 6 months, every quarter, maybe every year you're getting reporting, depending on the distributor, depending on the platform. These third party accounting and collection agencies in which we have all deposits go to, so that there's a third-party neutral registry of this. Well, blockchain would automate all this and make it irrefutable. And with the addition of smart contracts, we can have those payments made immediately. If all things are satisfied, that $2.99, $2 US dollars, $2.99 rental, in which maybe I get, 5 cents of, that can be executed almost instantaneously through the blockchain. So I think that's a revolutionary step that'll happen. I don't know when. I think the issue where I learned and failed was underestimating the amount of capital it takes to change viewer habits. So when we launched the platform, our VOD platform, we had the idea that, well, the old Field of Dreams line, if you build it, they will come. And well, we built it, and we had some really, really good marketing, and we got millions of hits monthly. But changing from watching iTunes or Amazon Prime Video wasn't a thing then, and Netflix had streaming, but it wasn't what it is now. It is very expensive, and so I think the viewing habits won't necessarily change more than the big player platforms that are there. But the back end is going to change drastically. We see a new codec coming out that's going to take, stream 8K films at the same bit rate and speed as a 4K. That's a game changer for people, and allowing, little platforms to be able to, access the same internet speed and access, and stream 4K video is very powerful.
Thank you very much, Andy, for sharing your experience in Hollywood and about the importance of OTT platforms and other expertise. It was an honor to have you with us during this program, Andy. Thank you so much.
It was wonderful to be here. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody.